let's get started. We have our tool, we have our matching ribbon, and you can see that I have all the matching ribbon and my gold for my accent color. Now this is a paper towel holder, and I like to keep everything together when I'm working, so I just bought that and I just put all my ribbons so I can keep everything together. You're going to need something to cut with. You can use scissors, you can use a roller cutter. I got this roller cutter from the dollar store and it works amazing. And you need a ruler for measuring. I have a cutting mat, which makes it easy for me because it protects my surfaces, and it also has my ruler on it. But use what you have at home, okay? You don't have to go buy new things. I've collected these things over the year. And since we're gonna do an Easter tutu today, I'm gonna use the lavender, light yellow, the light pink, light blue, and mint. And again, we have our matching ribbons to go with each one of those. Okay. Now I want to make a 12-inch tutu. I'm sorry, not a 12-inch tutu, a 12-month-old tutu. So that means we're gonna have to cut a 14-inch cut of fabric that we're gonna have to fold in half to give us a 7-inch length tutu. That includes the waistband. Now, that would include 8 yards of fabric. But because I'm working with 5 different colors and I need 2 of each color, I'm gonna just do 1 yard each. So that's gonna give me 10 yards, and that's okay. It's just gonna make your tutu a little fluffier, but it's okay. If I was doing a solid color or maybe 2 colors, I would just do either the 8 yards or 4 and 4 yards for each color. But again, I make it easy for myself by just going 1 yard a piece. I'm gonna have 10. An extra yard when you're crumpling it all up isn't gonna be a big difference in the grand scheme of things. Okay, so again, we need 8 yards of fabric for a 12-month-old tutu, and it needs to be a 14-inch cut that's gonna fold in half to a 7-inch tutu, okay? Now, I'm gonna start with my purple here. Now, I normally do this on my table, but most of us don't have a table. So I started out on the floor. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do it on the floor. And I always put down an extra piece of fabric, a long piece of fabric. I got this one at my fabric store. They were having a sale that if you bought 3 yards of fabric, you can get a yard for a penny. So I normally use this big piece of fabric when I'm doing solid or bigger tutus that require, you know, 1 long cut. This is 2 yards, and again, I paid 2 cents for it, so that's why this is a fun fisherman kind of pattern. But anyways, okay, so let's get this cut. Oh, I'm sorry, I kind of rambled off. Okay, we need a 14-inch cut of fabric so that we can fold in half to get 7 inches, and we're gonna do 10 yards for this tutu because I don't want to have to worry about dividing into 5 into 8 and then measuring it out. Okay, so let's put this at the edge of our cutting mat. Now my cutting mat is considered a yard, 3 feet in a yard. So this is going to be 1 yard. I'm going to have to do 2 of each. So I'll do 1 yard and I'll do 1 yard again. Now if you're using a ruler, when you roll this out, let's roll it out. I have my 1 yard here. Down. Okay, you see I have 1 yard of fabric here. If I don't have a cutting mat or a piece of fabric, whatever you're gonna do, get your ruler, and this is an 18-inch ruler, but most people have a 12-inch ruler, so you would just roll your fabric out and go 12. Put your finger where 1 foot is, 12 more inches, 2 feet, and again, 12 more inches would be 3 feet right here. So you would cut, right? And if you're gonna use scissors, you just get under there and cut, cut, cut. Again, I like to use my roller cutter, so that's what we're gonna do. So I have my first color of fabric. I'm going to cut 1 yard, 3 feet in a yard. Okay, I use this, and again, like I said, I use my roller cutter. Just give it some pressure, move it along all the way across. Now, because I actually damaged my roller cutter, as I can see, I dropped it the other day and I can see that it's actually catching. It's like not catching, but skipping. I'm gonna go ahead and use my scissors for my cuts instead of this, but all I have to do is replace this blade and I'll be good to go. So we'll put this aside for now. Again, these are really amazing and I just wanted to show it to you, but I made a wreath and I used like the aluminum mesh and it kind of ruined it. So if you're doing it on fabric, it's not gonna make a difference. All right, that's one yard. Just get it out the way. Now you don't have to do anything fancy with it right now, just get it out of your way. Now we actually have to start cutting our 14-inch length. Okay, so that we can fold it in half and have 7 inches, including the waistline. All right, so I find it easier to go in half, the folded part towards you, like this. Right, folded, I have the folded part here, and then make sure everything is nice and straight. You don't have it all crumpled up like that underneath or anything. Nice and straight. Fold it and fold it again. Well, actually no, we'll just fold it like this. You can go as many times, fold it as many times as you want to make it easier for you. Now, we need 14 inches, but if you notice here, how the edge, when I place it down, can you see that? How it's like one's all the way down here, and then the top is all the way up here. So it's not exactly straight. So we're just gonna easily cut off. I always cut off 1 inch of the edge. Now, if you're doing a ribbon trim tutu, it's really not gonna make a difference because you are gonna end up putting that ribbon there, so it doesn't matter if it's all choppy, it won't show. But I just like to keep it nice and straight. And we need 14 inches. If you have a ruler, get your ruler, 14 inches, mark it, get your scissors, and just cut along that line. Now, because this thing has a part where it's like skipping, when I put a lot of pressure, I can actually use it. And I'm gonna use it because I have it, and it just makes things easier for me. So 14 inches is gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 inches. Now I know I can use my numbers here, but I just wanna point out to you guys that this is 14 inches. And whoops, that kind of went to the angle. A nice, good straight cut. Okay, this was the final cut of the purple tulle. So now we're gonna go start our sewing. But before I do that, I just wanna point out what we're gonna do before we get to the machine real quick. So we have our fabric, right? We have a yard. And try to keep the pieces together because if they kind of separate, it'll be a little hard to get them back together to be, you know, perfectly aligned because they kind of catch like a net does. And that's what happened to this one when I grabbed it. I wasn't paying attention. But just do your best to get them aligned. This edge here. Okay, so we're going, this is 14 inches, right? And we're gonna go to the machine. We're gonna fold it in half, long ways. And where you have that fold line right here, this is what we're going to sew. We're going to sew the fold line so that we can create a tunnel. Okay, now we're at our sewing machine. I have all of my matching threads. I have green on the, the mint on the machine now, and you want your bottom thread to match as well. Can you see those? Okay, and the reason why we want to have the bottom ones matching as well is because when we go to put the ribbon on, we're actually gonna put the ribbon on the bottom, so whatever color's on your bobbin will be the color that's gonna come out on the top of your tutu. So if you just use white for everything, it's gonna show white on the top of the ribbon, but I'll show you in more detail when we get to that step. So another thing I want to point out is we are going to be using a 3/4 inch non-roll elastic. So the channel that we're going to sew on the folded tulle needs to be at least a little longer than, a little wider than that. Most people will just use a 1-inch measurement, and that makes it easy and it makes the thread, the elastic go through really smoothly. I like it to be a little tighter, so I won't do that. Okay, and now I don't know if your machine has a ruler outlined on it. Mine does, and if you have your needle set at the center position, you can get a ruler. Here I have my metal ruler, and here we have, can you see that? Okay, the 1 inch right here, right? 17 to 18. What I will do is I will take this 17-inch mark and place it up against that needle. Oops, drop your needle down. Okay, drop it down. Have the 1-inch mark there hit up against that point. And I'm gonna lower my foot on this because I want to actually show you. So I'm gonna grab my camera. Okay. Put it down, up against it, hold it. Here we go. You see how I've taken that 17-inch mark and I've butted it up against that needle there. You see it? The ruler's right up against it. And there's the 18-inch mark. So that's an inch. If you don't have the measurement outlined, I don't have any pencil, but you want to take a pencil and you want to just, here we are. You want to on your machine, make a line right there so you know you can keep a consistent measurement when you're sewing out the channel there. Now I use pencil because you don't want to put pen and make all these marks on your sewing machine. Okay. One other thing I'd like to mention is on my tension, I have it at 0, and on my needle, it's there in the middle. Needle position, and then my width is at a 3. A lot of people will go really wide, and you don't want to go too wide because then your material starts cinching together. So instead of a straight line, everything starts bunching up, and you don't want it to be bunched. Okay, before I actually get to sewing, I want to point out placement of your fabric. You have it folded in half. Remember, you have the raw edges here to the left. I'm right-handed, so my sewing machine, I have it here to the left. And then on the right side here, I have the folded edge, right? And like I said, I don't like to go to the inch line. I like to go right under that. Just gives a little more snug fit around the elastic. But if you made your mark right here for the inch, go ahead and bud that up to that. Now, when we start sewing, we're just gonna run it through. Remember, keep the folded side to the right of your presser foot and the raw edge on the left side here. And don't forget, when we start sewing, we wanna go forward and then we wanna back stitch. Here we have our sewn channel, and let me grab the elastic. We have the 3/4 elastic that we're gonna run through it. I just placed it behind so you can see there's plenty of room. Okay, now it's time to do the ribbon. Now you're gonna take the raw edge part of your tutu, and you're gonna get your ribbon. We're gonna place the ribbon down first on our presser foot. Now there's the top part of the ribbon, right? And the back part. Okay, now we're gonna place the back part of the ribbon under our presser foot. Okay. And I always like to sew right along the top edge of the ribbon. Some people will sew down the center of the ribbon, but I just think it makes it look nicer when it's not down the middle. I just do it right at the very edge. Okay, so I'm gonna place it down where I want to sew it. And then I'm going to get my raw edge of the tutu and I'm going to place it down aligned with the tutu. With the tutu. See that? And that's how we're going to sew it. So I'm going to place it down. Have your presser foot down because it's going to hold the ribbon. Now hold the ribbon while you're putting the tutu under there. It just helps it from slipping around so you can get everything the way you want it to be. I'll place it down and I'm going to show you where I like to place it. Okay, here you can see how I like to place it. I like my presser foot to be right here where I'm actually going to sew along. Some people like to go down the middle, but you align the edge of the ribbon here along with the tutu aligned. And we're just going to sew that straight down. Don't worry if it goes over a little bit, because if that happens, when you're done, you can just cut that off, but just line it up. So don't worry.
Again.
Okay, I already had the two pieces, and for the color to stitch them all together of thread, you can use whatever color you've been using. I happen to have yellow on here, so I'm just going to use yellow. All right, remember, get your thread lines together. See that? Pink. And we want to do raw edges away from each other. So smooth together and raw on the outside. Because once we sew it, we're going to have it all nice and smooth like that. All right. Now, unless I think of something else I need to point out, I'm just going to go ahead and get to sewing. Oh, one more thing. Make sure your ribbon pieces match at the end as well. You have to align the end pieces and the top stitching pieces. Now, if you find that they're totally off, don't worry about it. Worry more about this part at the end matching, these two meeting, because this is the part of the bottom of the tutu that's really going to stand out if they meet down here. But up here, if something's off, it's all going to be crunched up, so it's not going to make a difference. There we go. And when you're stitching, darn it, I forgot to mention this to you. Okay. When you're stitching, you have to make sure that you start below the stitch line so that the channel won't be sewn closed, because then you're not going to be able to get the elastic through. So just align the needle with the stitch line and sew down. And you do that with every piece. Cut the threads off, the top and bottom if there's any. And then what we're going to do is, you see how the stitch line, there you go. See how the the tool here is all out of whack and rough? What we're going to do is we're just going to cut right along here so we can have a nice straight edge. Oops. Okay, just going to cut it. Now cut only up to the stitch line. Don't go past that, because you back stitch to close off that stitch, and then just cut it off. Okay, there we go. See how we have a nice smooth, there we go, a nice smooth line right there. And when we open up our tutus to the other side, look how nicely stitched that is, all the way down to the ribbon line. Okay, now also, because you don't want your ribbon to fray, as if you can see, these pieces will come off, right? It will fray. What I do is I just make sure they're cut off. If they're short, it doesn't matter. But if they're long, cut them off. Get your lighter, And we want to just burn this down so nothing comes apart. You don't really have to do the top here, but I always do because this isn't going to fray, but the ribbon will. So all I do is I get my lighter and I just go down, 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 all the way to get my ribbon line. So now, look at that. See how that is? This is not going to fray now. All right. So I'm just going to repeat the process till I'm done. Okay, now we have our tutu sewn together. As you can see, like I mentioned before, we have our nice closed stitch line. We have our channels open so we can run our elastic through it. And then we have a nice little edge here. It's not perfect, but I mean, you can make it perfect if you want, but that's nice enough, okay? All right, now we're going to add our second layer of ribbon. And mine, as I mentioned before, was gonna be gold. I'm gonna leave my yellow thread on there because it goes the best. You can buy metallic threads, but I find that it doesn't match very well. And also, because there's so much going on with the glitter here, using the yellow isn't really, it's not even gonna make a difference. So I'm gonna get the camera so you can get a close-up of this. Let me just put my presser foot down. Okay, so let me see here. You can see here that here's gonna be your ribbon. It's so difficult to do this holding this. It looks a little blurry to me, but you're going to get your ribbon here and you're going to sew it just a little over like that. Not way over because this is a smaller ribbon. This one's a 7 1/8 inch ribbon. And I'm going to sew it that far over. And then we're going to stitch along the right side of the ribbon just like we did down here. So then we can have it I don't like it down the middle. Like I said, I just think it's more professional looking this way, cleaner. So again, I'm gonna align this back here, but we're gonna only have it over a little bit and we're gonna start stitching up here. Okay, now you should have 2 of each color, 2 full pieces of each color of ribbon trim tutu that you're going to use. Now, if you notice on this side, it's your raw, I would call it my raw edge. We're gonna want this part, the nice smooth edge that we sewed, to be on the outside of the tutu. So now all we have to do is put the tutu together. Now, some people would stop at this point and just start running the elastic through the channels. So they'll get the material and they will just start running it through the elastic, and then they'll get the other one and they'll start running it through the elastic to start creating the tutu, right? I don't do that because when you do that, it leaves the tutu open. Do this. It leaves it open for exposure, like when they're running around, their leg can come through, they can sit down and it'll start crumpling up your tutu. So what I do is I sew the edges together to create a more of a like skirt feel so that it's closed and we don't have to worry about our little one exposing themselves. Okay, even though it may have a diaper cover or a onesie or a pamper, it just makes it look more professional, more clean and beautiful. All right, so now what I do is I want to get all my pieces together so when I get to the sewing machine, I'm just ready to sew and go. So here's where you want to put your pattern of colors together. So what I'm going to do, get these out of my way real quick, is I want my pattern around the tutu. And when I lay these out, I'm going to put my raw edge up and have my nice smooth edge down. So I'm going to go yellow, green, blue, purple, pink. Okay, then my next row. You want to put these in the order you want them to, that you want to sew them on the tutu, because you don't want to have two of the same color, or you want to, you don't want your pattern to get mixed up. So that's why it's best that you do it ahead of time. So pink, green, oh, I'm sorry, yellow, green, blue, purple, and pink. So then when it comes back around again, your tutu, it's gonna meet up with the pink side, the pink piece. All right, and then what I do is I fold it in half. I wanna make sure that everything's correct. Look at these beautiful colors. You can see how just, it screams Easter. It's so beautiful. So we got yellow, green, blue, purple, pink, yellow, green, blue, purple, pink. Now we're ready to go to the machine. Okay, now it's time for the elastic. For a 12-month tutu, we need 17 inches waistband, but we need to factor in 1 inch for the overlap to come over. Okay, I do 1/2 inch and 1/2 inch. Okay, so let's cut 18 inches. There we go. Good. Now be sure when you're using your elastics, some have more stretch than others. You'll see this piece here, where is it? Here it is. It's nice and sturdy and strong. And this one here, it's a little more flimsy, so it can stretch out more if you're not careful. Look at that. I went from 18 inches to 20 inches. So what I'm gonna do, because it's stretched quite a bit, is I'm gonna cut off this extra piece. You don't want it to be so big that it doesn't stay up on their waist. Now this is still gonna have stretch, you see that? But when she's putting on the tutu, you're not gonna be stretching it out. So just be mindful of that. I like this one, I would get it from Joann's, and this one I got from Hobby Lobby. Okay, so now we're gonna get our tutu and we're gonna run this through the channel. What I do is I get a nice big sturdy safety pin and I'll pinch it like that. See that? I pinch it, where are you? There you go, pinch it, and then I'll run the safety pin through there. Okay, do that. All right, close it up, and now we're just gonna run it through. See that? Put it through. I feel like you can't see this. Let me get closer to the camera here. There we go. Now be careful putting it over. Right here, getting it in. You want to make sure you got it in good. And it's in between the two pieces, because remember, we doubled up on the tulle. Now, pull it through a little bit. I'm just going to get to this point so you can see how I transitioned into the break. And then I'll just run through it quickly. Okay, just run through it here like this. And then pull. Pull your tulle. Be careful. Sometimes it could be difficult. Here we go. See? Now, just keep it going. See there you go. Keep it going, keep it going. Just crunch it, crunch it, crunch it. Pull, pull, crunch it, crunch it, crunch it. And just keep sliding it along. Now here we go, we're coming to the transition point. You see how it goes through that one? It went through that one. And now I'm going to open this one, and I'm going to make sure I get through the middle of the two pieces here. Oh, I'm going to have to open that up. Can't see it. Oh, there we go. These light fabrics are a little harder to work with. Let me find my footing first, and then this is why it's very, you have to be careful. Because if you get it through only the one channel, then you're gonna clump the second channel up. So there, now I have transitioned the two pieces. See that? Okay, I'm gonna speed it up now. Push it along, okay? Don't worry about it being all clumped up. Look how beautiful that's coming out. How nice is that? Okay, don't worry about fixing all of the elastic right now. We just wanna make sure it's all on there. We're gonna fluff it and run it in a minute. But we need to now sew these two pieces together. So I'm gonna go grab a needle and thread. I don't like to do it on the machine because my presser foot makes it really difficult for me to get it under there. So I'm gonna get a needle and thread and I'll be right back. I have my needle and thread. And now I'm gonna take I have it here, you see here? I hope you can see that. I'm going to take off my safety pin. And remember, we allotted an extra inch. So this is about a 1/2 inch and this is about a 1/2 inch. So we're gonna place it on top of each other, okay? And then what I do is I get the sewing needle and I do a box, right? I sew a box, I go up, 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 and then I go do an X, and I come back up and I do an X down, and then I close it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that real quickly, and then I'll come back once I'm all done. Maybe you might wanna see how I'm stitching this box around. See that? Just go around, keep going around, keep going around. Oops, it caught here, it's fine. Okay, and then when I come to the end here, where the other piece is, right here, all I do is I go under and I do that. Make sure you're catching it, okay? All right. Okay, you see that? I hope you can. There you go. All I did was I stitched around like a box and did an extra, and that is not going anywhere, okay? Now we're gonna take it one step further, and we're gonna go get these open ends here, right here, and we're going to sew them together so we can close up the tutu. have it on the mannequin. Now, if you don't have a mannequin, which I didn't when I first started, I just wanted to show you that I used to just use little pickle containers. I don't know if you have one, but we love pickles in my house, so I would just put it on here and I would fluff it. And then later, I got myself a mannequin. Okay, now when you're fluffing it, let's see if I can do this from the side. Well, you want to make sure where you had the stitching lines, you see that, where we stitched it together, you want those pieces to go down, and you want the smoother pieces to come up so that they don't see those stitch lines. And I do 3, I go down, up, down, up. Okay, at least 3 times. Here we have 4. I like it to be at least 3. Just makes it look puffier. Okay, there we go. Down and up. Okay. Right. You want to do this all the way around the tutu. I think I have fluffed it to my satisfaction. Just look how beautiful these colors come together for Easter. I absolutely love this. I've decided to do a pink bow for my tutu. Now I've measured out 21 inches of pink ribbon. And I've also threaded my needle, a needle and thread with some pink thread as well. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna fold our ribbon in half. Okay, we fold it in half like that. And then we want to just take our 2 pieces like an X, and we want to find out how big we want our loops, to where one X's over this way, the other one X's this way. Okay, now to play with it a little bit, okay, get your middle point if you feel satisfied with that. I don't like for my bows to be so big, so I think this size will be perfect. And then what I do, get my needle and thread, and I start down here at the bottom of the X. Okay, I'm gonna go in, and I'm just gonna go up and down. You see that? Continue sewing all the way up and down, up and down, up and down, right? And then you want to just pull it down tight. Okay, and then we're gonna get this thread, and we're just gonna circle it. Now take a look at it. Make sure the hoops look even. This doesn't look even, so I can take it apart like that. And when I go around, I'm just gonna shift the thread in the center over a little bit more. Let me make sure that's how I want mine. You can also just do this, put them together. Make sure that they're even enough, okay? And there's all sorts, all sorts of bow makers that you can buy. Do this nice and tight. I actually have a couple of them, but I just like doing this by hand. It's so much easier for me. Do it a couple times to get it on there nice and tight. And then in the back, I just go right underneath it all. Pull it through and hook it through the 2 little threads. Pull it tight. Do it another time. Looks good to me. All right, I tied it off back. Now I want to cut an angle off of the tail of my bow. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but it cut this part out again. So make sure if this is the way you want your edges to be, to cut out to the inside, out to the inside, or you can go from the inside of the ribbon to the edge of the ribbon. And then on this side, you just go from the outside to the inside. That gives us this cut. Okay. Then you get your lighter again, and you just very carefully. Burn it along the edges so it doesn't fray. Then you get your ribbon and you fold it once, fold it twice. Okay. Get your glue, glue that down. Okay. Then you get it on your ribbon. You put a dot of glue here, press it down. You flip it around it. Then you put another dot of glue here, press it. While you're holding it down, get your scissors, cut off the extra piece, press it, and when you're done, you'll have the gold around your ribbon. All right, now it's time to sew it onto your tutu. Now I decided I wanted to put my ribbon in between the yellow and the green. Okay. Remember, find your spot where your elastic was sewn together. I always like to hide that default, I call it, in my tutu. So you put it up against it. What I like to do is to, oops, I almost put it in the wrong way. Put it under the ribbon. And when you're dealing with this gold ribbon, it's a lot tougher than the material ribbon, but I put it through first, then I will place it on the ribbon. And I normally go right along near the stitch line, is for the bottom of my bow there. Then I'll go through the tulle and the elastic, don't stretch it or anything. Then I'll pull it up when I can still kind of see. Okay, all right. Pull it through, then come back here, get it into the bow, pull it through, okay, pull it tight, and do that a couple of times. Let's make it a little hard for me to do it, pushing it into the camera. Then I'll go under here, get down into the material because again, the glued bow, you see that, how I got down into the material there of the bow? I'll pull it through. Okay. Pull it down in the back, through the back here. Then I'll come down back here. I'll just sew it off. I don't do this a lot of times because just getting it in there good, it's not going to go anywhere unless they yank it off or tear it off, but it won't come off at all. Close it up a couple of times. I'm kind of sticking it in the elastic as well. Okay, I have a little hoop there. Pull it through. This little hoop right here. I'll just drag it over to the edge. Just smooth it out. Make sure this time it catches. Okay. Then I'm going to do it last couple times. This is the part that I find important, is tying it off versus sewing it over and over into it, because you don't want it to pop off. And the last stitch. All right. Okay, then I get my scissors, and on this part, what I'll do is I'll get the two pieces. It's just extra security. And I'll tie just regular knots, a couple of regular knots. Okay, 3, 4, that's good enough. And then I'll just cut it off out there. And there we go. All right, we are done. Let's get this on the mannequin for the final view and see what you think. I hope you like this video, and if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. And as always, I love to inspire and I love to be inspired. And if you'd like for me to create anything, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching.